When I went to my girlfriend's office event, I was shocked to see a guy sitting with her, holding her hand under the table. While my girlfriend was clearly enjoying it, I left immediately. 2 days passed, and I didn't contact her. Then she sent her friends to come talk to me. I'm 28, a software developer, and I thought I had a pretty solid relationship with my girlfriend, Vanessa. We'd been together for 2 years, living in separate apartments, but spending most weekends together. She worked in marketing at a mid-sized tech startup downtown, and I'd always supported her career ambitions, even when it meant late nights and weekend campaigns. The cracks started showing about 3 months ago. Vanessa became increasingly distant, always on her phone, laughing at messages she wouldn't share. When I'd ask about her day, she'd give me these vague, rehearsed answers about client meetings and team synergy. I chalked it up to work stress. She'd mentioned this big product launch coming up, so I figured she was just overwhelmed. Our routine had always been simple. Friday nights were ours. Dinner, movies, sometimes just talking until 2 a.m. about everything and nothing. But those Fridays started changing. She'd cancel last minute, citing urgent deadlines. Or she'd show up distracted, checking her phone every few minutes with this secretive smile that made my chest tight. "Who's that?" I'd ask, trying to keep my tone light. "Just work stuff," she'd say, locking her screen. Nothing interesting. But her face said otherwise. Her face said it was very interesting. I tried talking to her about it once, about 6 weeks before the office event. We were at her place, and she was on her laptop, supposedly reviewing campaign materials. But I caught her smiling at her phone again, that same private smile. "Vanessa, are we okay?" I'd asked. She'd looked up, surprised. "Of course. What? You've just seemed distant lately. Like your mind is always somewhere else." "I'm just stressed about this launch," she'd said, closing her laptop. "It's a huge opportunity for me. Dylan and I have been putting in insane hours." That was the first time I'd heard his name. Dylan. She'd said it so casually, like it was nothing, but something in my gut twisted. Dylan, my project partner. I've mentioned him before. She hadn't. I would have remembered. "What's he like?" I'd asked, testing. "He's great. Really creative, super driven. We make a good team." The way she'd said good team stuck with me. There was something warm in her voice, something that used to be reserved for talking about us. Then came the office event. It was supposed to be a celebration for hitting their Q4 targets, held at this upscale restaurant with a private room. Vanessa had been hesitant about me coming at first. "It's mostly going to be boring work talk," she'd said a week before, not meeting my eyes. "I don't mind. I'd like to meet your colleagues properly. Especially this Dylan you keep mentioning." Her expression had flickered, just for a second, with something like panic. "Sure, that would be nice." The night of the event, I'd actually put effort into my appearance. Nice shirt, the cologne she liked, even styled my hair properly. I wanted to remind her what she had, what we were together. Looking back, that desperation should have told me everything. I arrived 15 minutes late because of traffic. The restaurant was one of those dimly lit places with exposed brick and Edison bulbs, the kind where every dish costs $40 and comes on a slate instead of a plate. I texted Vanessa that I was there, but she didn't respond. I made my way to the private room in the back, rehearsing casual greetings in my head. Through the frosted glass door, I could see about 20 people mingling, drinks in hand, the warm buzz of celebration in the air. I pushed the door open and scanned the room for Vanessa. It took me a moment to spot her because she was sitting in a corner booth, partially obscured by a decorative plant. She wasn't alone. There was a guy next to her, close enough that their shoulders touched. He was around my age, maybe a bit younger, with styled hair and one of those expensive watches that catches the light. But what made my stomach drop wasn't just their proximity. His hand was under the table, and even from where I stood, I could see his arm angled toward her. Her hand was hidden too, but her body language told me everything. She was leaning into him slightly, her head tilted toward his as he whispered something that made her smile. Not the polite smile she gave strangers. The real one, the one I used to think was just for me. They looked like a couple. That was the thing that hit me hardest. Not like colleagues, not like friends. Like two people who knew each other intimately, who had inside jokes and shared secrets. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, waiting for her to notice me. She didn't. She was too absorbed in whatever he was saying. Her fingers, I realized, were probably intertwined with his under that table. I watched as she laughed at something he said, her free hand touching his arm in that casual way that spoke of familiarity. A woman next to me, one of Vanessa's colleagues, I assumed, glanced over and smiled. "Are you looking for someone?" "No," I said. "I was just leaving." I turned around and walked out. I didn't make a scene. I didn't text. I just left. The drive home felt surreal, like I was moving through water. I kept replaying what I'd seen, trying to convince myself I'd misunderstood. Maybe it was a colleague being overly friendly. Maybe it was nothing. But my gut knew better. The way she'd leaned into him, the intimacy of their posture, the fact that her hand was literally intertwined with his, that wasn't nothing. I didn't hear from Vanessa that night. I half expected a call or a text asking where I'd gone, but my phone stayed silent. I stayed up until 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling. That image burned into my mind. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them together, her smile, his hand on hers. That silence told me more than any explanation could have. The next morning, I woke up to a single message from her, sent at 1:47 a.m. "Sorry, got caught up with work people. Hope you made it home okay." No mention of me showing up. No concern about where I'd gone or why I'd left. Either she hadn't noticed I'd been there at all, which seemed impossible in a room of 20 people, or she was pretending she hadn't. Both options made me feel sick. I didn't respond. Day 1 without contact turned into day 2. I went to work, came home, ordered takeout, and tried to focus on anything other than the image of her hand hidden under that table. My coworkers asked if I was okay. I told them I was fine, just tired. My phone sat on my desk, taunting me with its lack of notifications. I thought about what I'd say when she finally reached out. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to demand answers. Another part wanted to pretend I'd never gone to that event, to let her lie convince me that nothing was wrong. But the largest part of me already knew the truth and was just waiting for her to admit it. Then, on the evening of the second day, my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, and when I checked the peephole, I saw 2 women I vaguely recognized from Vanessa's Instagram stories. Her work friends, probably. Great. I opened the door. "Hey," the taller one said, her smile overly bright and practiced. "I'm Lauren, and this is Brielle. We work with Vanessa." "I know," I said, not moving from the doorway. "Can we come in?" Brielle asked, her tone suggesting it wasn't really a question. "We just want to talk for a minute." I considered closing the door, but curiosity won out. I stepped aside and let them in. They settled onto my couch like they'd been there before, which irritated me more than it should have. Lauren crossed her legs and looked around my apartment with barely concealed judgment. "So," Lauren started, her voice taking on that diplomatic tone people use when they're about to say something uncomfortable. "Vanessa is really upset. She says you've been ignoring her." "Is that what she told you?" "She's worried about you," Brielle added, softer than her friend, playing good cop to Lauren's bad cop. "She said you left the event without saying goodbye, and now you won't answer her calls." "She called." I pulled out my phone and checked. 2 missed calls, both from this afternoon. No voicemails. Interesting timing. Lauren's smile faltered. "Look, we don't know what's going on between you two, but Vanessa is our friend, and she's really torn up about this. She's been crying at work." "Torn up?" I repeated flatly. "Did she tell you why I left?" They exchanged a glance, a quick look that told me they knew more than they were letting on. "She said she doesn't know," Brielle said carefully. "That's why we're here. To figure out what happened." I laughed, a sharp sound that made them both flinch. "You want to know what happened? I showed up to your office event like I was supposed to, and I found my girlfriend sitting in a booth with some guy, holding his hand under the table like I didn't exist." The room went quiet. Lauren's expression shifted from defensive to uncomfortable. Brielle looked down at her hands, and I knew in that moment that they'd known exactly what was going on. "That's not," Lauren started. "Not what?" I cut her off. "Not what it looked like. That's the line you're going with." Brielle spoke up, her voice careful. "You mean Dylan?" "I don't know his name. Tall guy, dark hair, expensive watch, sitting way too close to my girlfriend." "That's Dylan," she confirmed, then hesitated. "He's been working closely with Vanessa on the campaign launch. They're partners on the project." "Partners," I said, letting the word hang in the air. "Is that what we're calling it?" "It's not like that," Lauren insisted, but her tone lacked conviction. She was saying what she was supposed to say, not what she believed. "They're just close because of work. You know how it is when you're on a tight deadline with someone. Things can look." "Don't," I interrupted. Don't sit in my apartment and gaslight me. I know what I saw. We're not trying to, Brielle tried. Do I? I walked to the kitchen and grabbed a beer from the fridge, not offering them anything. Because in my work, when I collaborate with someone, I don't hold their hand under a table at a public event. I don't lean into them like they're the only person in the room. And I sure as hell don't ignore my partner when they show up. Maybe you misread the situation, Brielle tried weakly. Maybe, I agreed, taking a long drink. Or maybe you two know exactly what's going on, and you're here because Vanessa is too much of a coward to face me herself. Which is it? Lauren stood up, her face flushing with anger. She's not a coward. She cares about you. She's a mess right now. She has a funny way of showing it. 2 days of silence. Then she sends her friends to do her dirty work. Will you just talk to her? Lauren's voice rose, her diplomatic mask slipping. She keeps asking about you. She's barely eating. Do you know how hard this is for her? Hard for her. I set my beer down hard enough that foam spilled over the top. How hard what is for her exactly? Getting caught. Lauren opened her mouth, then closed it, realizing what she'd almost admitted. That's what I thought, I said quietly. You can tell Vanessa that if she wants to explain what I saw, she can come here and explain it to my face. Tell her to stop sending her friends to do the hard work. Tell her to be an adult and own what she's done. Brielle stood too, pulling Lauren toward the door. We'll let her know, she said quietly, shooting Lauren a warning look. And tell her, I added as they reached the door, that I'm not interested in whatever story she's rehearsed. I want the truth. All of it. After they left, I sat on my couch and stared at my phone. Part of me wanted to call Vanessa to demand answers immediately. But a larger part of me already knew what those answers would be. Denials, excuses, gaslighting disguised as reassurance. The same script every cheater reads from. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Vanessa, Lauren told me what you said. Can we please talk? Me. You know where I live. Vanessa, I'm coming over now. I didn't respond. I just waited, beer in hand, trying to prepare myself for whatever version of the truth she was about to deliver. I knew it wouldn't be the whole truth. It never is. But maybe it would be enough. She arrived 30 minutes later, her eyes red like she'd been crying. She stood in my doorway, and for a moment, neither of us spoke. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. Or maybe I was just seeing her clearly for the first time in months. Can I come in? She finally asked, her voice small and fragile. I stepped aside without a word. She walked past me and stood in the middle of my living room, her hands clasped in front of her like a nervous student about to present to the class. I don't know what you think you saw, she started. Stop, I interrupted. Don't insult me by pretending you don't know. Don't treat me like I'm stupid. Her face crumpled. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is. Explain to me why you were holding another man's hand at your office party while your boyfriend stood 10 feet away watching. You saw that. Her voice cracked, and I saw genuine fear in her eyes. Not fear of losing me, fear of being caught. Of course I saw it. I was there, Vanessa. You invited me, remember? Or was that just for appearances? I didn't think you'd notice, she whispered, then immediately looked horrified at what she'd admitted. The words hung between us like a confession. She'd known exactly what she was doing. She'd just gambled that I'd be too distracted or too trusting to see it. You didn't think I'd notice, I repeated slowly, my voice dangerously calm. So you knew what you were doing. You just hoped I'd be too stupid or too distracted to see it. You brought me to that event knowing you'd be with him. That's not. She covered her face with her hands. Dylan and I have gotten close. The project, all the late nights working together, it just happened. I didn't plan it. What just happened? Say it. Use actual words. She lowered her hands, tears streaming down her face, mascara running in dark tracks. We've been seeing each other. Not for long, just a few weeks. It's complicated. It's really not, I said, surprised by how steady my voice was. You cheated on me. You had an affair. There's nothing complicated about that. I didn't mean for it to happen, she cried, her voice rising with desperation. He understands my work in a way you never could. We connect on this level that's it's different. We spend so much time together, and he gets the pressure I'm under, and you never really understood that part of my life. So this is my fault. I asked. I didn't understand your job enough, so you had to find someone who did? And that justified lying to me for weeks. No, that's not what I meant. How long, Vanessa? And don't lie to me. I'm done with lies. She sank onto my couch, defeated. 2 months. It started 2 months ago. 2 months. 8 weeks of lying to my face. 8 weeks of her touching him, kissing him, while coming home to me and pretending everything was fine. 8 weeks of me being the idiot who didn't see what was right in front of him. Were you going to tell me? I asked. Or were you just going to keep both of us until you decided which one you wanted? I don't know, she admitted, and somehow that honesty hurt worse than all the lies. I didn't know what to do. I care about you, but Dylan and I. Get out. Please, just let me explain. Explain what? I stood up, my hands shaking. Explain how you've been lying to me for 2 months? Explain how you brought me to an event where you planned to sit with your affair partner like I was invisible? Explain how you sent your friends here to guilt me into forgiving you before you even had the guts to apologize? What else is there to explain, Vanessa? I'm sorry, she sobbed, reaching for me. I stepped back. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I just got confused, and Dylan was there, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a while, and you decided that feeling was more important than 2 years with me. That feeling was more important than honesty or loyalty or basic human decency. That's not fair, she said, her voice breaking. Fair? I laughed bitterly. You want to talk about fair? What's fair about finding out the person you trusted most has been betraying you for 2 months? What's fair about being made to look like a fool in front of your girlfriend's entire office? I didn't mean for you to find out like that. How did you mean for me to find out? Or were you just going to keep stringing me along until you decided Dylan was the better option? She didn't answer, which was answer enough. Was he worth it? I asked quietly. Was whatever you have with Dylan worth throwing away 2 years? Worth all the lies? She looked at me with red, swollen eyes. I don't know. And that, somehow, was the most honest thing she'd said all night. I need you to leave, I said, my voice flat with exhaustion. Take your stuff from here when I'm not home. I'll leave a box of your things on the porch tomorrow. Don't call me. Don't text me. We're done. Please don't do this, she begged, standing up. We can work through this. Couples therapy, whatever you want. I'll end it with Dylan right now. I'll do anything. You'll do anything except take responsibility for what you've done. You'll do anything except admit that you wanted this, that you chose this. I made a mistake, she insisted. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk. A mistake is being late for dinner. An affair isn't a mistake. It's a choice. You chose him. You chose to lie. You chose to hurt me. Own it. Please, she whispered. I love you. No, you don't. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. If you loved me, you would have ended things before starting something with him. If you loved me, you wouldn't have brought me to that party to humiliate me in front of everyone you work with. I never meant to humiliate you. But you did. And now I want you to leave. Now, Vanessa. She stood there for another long moment, mascara running down her face, her hands trembling. Then finally, she walked to the door. She paused with her hand on the handle. I really am sorry, she said without turning around. I know, I replied. But sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't erase 2 months of lies. Sorry doesn't make me forget seeing you with him. She walked out, and the door clicked shut behind her. I stood in the middle of my living room, listening to her footsteps fade down the hallway, and felt nothing but tired. Not angry anymore, not hurt, just exhausted. I sat down on my couch and finished my beer in silence. Update: 3 weeks later. I blocked Vanessa on everything the next day. She tried to reach out through mutual friends at first, sending long apology texts that I never read. I made it clear to everyone that I had nothing to say to her and no interest in hearing her excuses. Lauren and Brielle never contacted me again, which was fine by me. The first week was the hardest. I kept expecting her to call, to show up, to force some kind of closure. She didn't. I packed up her stuff, clothes she'd left over multiple weekends, toiletries, a couple of books, and left it all on my porch. She picked it up when I was at work. She didn't leave a note. Last week, I ran into one of Vanessa's old roommates at the grocery store. I was in the produce section, trying to remember if I needed onions, when she appeared next to me. Hey, she said awkwardly. How are you doing? Fine, I said, which was mostly true. You? Good. Listen, I heard what happened. With Vanessa and Dylan. I'm really sorry. I nodded, not sure what to say. For what it's worth, she continued, lowering her voice, I never liked him. Dylan. He always seemed too smooth, you know? Like he was always performing. They're together? I asked, even though I already knew the answer. She hesitated. Yeah, it's all over social media. Like they've been dating for years. It's honestly kind of gross how public they're being about it. It's fine, I said. She made her choice. You deserve better, she said, touching my arm briefly. You were always good to her. Everyone knew that. After she left, I finished my shopping and went home. Later that night, against my better judgment, I looked at one of Vanessa's Instagram posts. They were at some rooftop bar, his arm around her waist, both of them smiling at the camera with that filtered perfection that makes real life look dingy. They looked happy. They looked like they belonged together. I deleted the browser history and ordered pizza. The thing is, I'm doing okay. Better than I expected, honestly. Some days are harder than others, but I'm sleeping better now than I did those last few months with her. No more wondering why she was distant or where she really was. No more trying to decode her moods or make excuses for her behavior. No more feeling like I was competing for attention in my own relationship. The truth is, I think part of me knew something was wrong long before that office event. I just didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to be the paranoid boyfriend who couldn't trust his partner. I didn't want to be right about my suspicions. But seeing her with Dylan forced me to stop lying to myself. My coworker asked me last week if I'd consider dating again soon. I told him maybe in a few months. Right now, I'm just focused on remembering what it feels like to not be in a relationship where I'm constantly anxious, constantly wondering if I'm enough. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I don't wish Vanessa happiness with Dylan, but I don't wish her misery either. I just wish I'd walked away the first time my gut told me something was off. Would have saved me a lot of sleepless nights and one very uncomfortable office party. But at least now I know what to look out for. I know what it looks like when someone's checking out of a relationship. I know what it sounds like when someone's lying. And I know I deserve better than someone who'd hold another man's hand under a table while I stood there watching, hoping I was too stupid to notice. I deserve someone who chooses me first. Someone who doesn't need to hide their phone or make excuses for late nights. Someone who wouldn't dream of humiliating me at their office party. And I'll find that person eventually. Or maybe I won't, and I'll be fine anyway. Either way, I'm done settling for someone who treats me like I'm optional. Final update, 2 months later. Last night, I got a text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it without reading, but something made me open it. This is Dylan. I think we should talk. I stared at the message for a long time, trying to figure out what possible reason Dylan would have to contact me. Then another text came through. Vanessa doesn't know I'm reaching out. I just thought you should know that things aren't working out with us. She talks about you constantly. I think she made a mistake. I read the message 3 times, feeling absolutely nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, no anger. Just a kind of detached curiosity about what he expected me to do with this information. I typed back. That's not my problem anymore. Don't contact me again. I blocked the number and went back to watching my show. The old me, the one from 3 months ago, would have agonized over that message. Would have wondered if I should give Vanessa another chance, if maybe she really did regret what she'd done. Would have let hope creep back in like poison. But I'm not that person anymore. I learned something important from all of this. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Don't make excuses. Don't rationalize. Don't hope they'll change. Vanessa showed me who she was in that restaurant booth. She showed me that her desires mattered more than my dignity. She showed me that she was capable of looking me in the eye and lying for months without flinching. And I believed her. So no, I don't care if things didn't work out with Dylan. I don't care if she regrets her choice. I don't care if she talks about me constantly or realizes what she lost. Because I know what I gained: self-respect, peace of mind, and the absolute certainty that I'll never waste another day on someone who treats me like a backup plan. That's worth more than any apology she could ever give me.